All right, so let's start to reposition things a little bit for an incoming start button. And actually, if you want, go ahead and just declare that start button up here. It's going to be a UI button, and for right now, it's just going to equal UI button, right? We'll set it up momentarily, but yeah, let's get some stuff out of the way. For our picker view width, let's go ahead and actually make that half the screen size this time. And then when we actually add our intro picker, we will make it half the width over here as well. So again, half the screen size. And if you were to run this right now, it should just show off pushed over to the left side. And there we go. Okay, perfect, right? So we'll put our start button over here, and then in a moment we'll just adjust this when we go up and down. Okay, so as I was kind of saying before, I do like to kind of do things in the I was about to say in the functions, but I like to kind of arrange things in our functions here. So instead of going directly into adding our intro picker, let's call a function named initial setup. And then this is what I was trying to get at. We can do things like add intro picker, add start button, and then that way if you find that you kind of need to rearrange these later, you can just kind of move them around. So this time around, we're not going to call add intro picker. We're going to call initial setup. So that's what runs on our time delay, and then we'll go through these things kind of in order. So add start button, and since we've already declared our start button up at the top, we can just write start button is now going to equal, and you're going to put in here UI button and set a type. So it's going to initialize it with this button type. And you can see if you just type a period in there that you get some different options in here. We're just going to go with custom because that's kind of the most flexibility. And now we're going to put in here a frame. And obviously this is going to be a CG rect. So we're going to put the X position as, does anybody want to take a guess? Let's go ahead and just set it to the view.bounds.width divided by 2. So again, imagine this little square over here is the iPhone screen. So half the width, on the x-axis, we're starting somewhere over here. If you want to push it over just a little bit, so it's just not right up against the width of the picker, I don't think that's a bad idea. What I'd probably do though is put this in parentheses and then just add like, let's say 20 or something like that over there. All right, we got to continue going here. So put a comma, and we want to put in here our Y. And again, at this point, since we've kind of delayed things, it should have the correct compact height. So what we could do is we could take self.view.bounds.height and divide that by about 2. And since we just have that one button, that should be fine. And then let's set up the width. And this one, I don't know, you might want to hard code in a certain value here. If you don't feel like you're going to have that much text, that would probably work okay. But, again, if you want to make this as, kind of accommodating to as many devices as possible, let's use the width one more time. So self.view.bounds.width divided by 2. But I would subtract about 40 from it because remember we've nudged this over a little bit. So to give us a little space on either side, we'll subtract 40, and we got one more to go. So height. This time around, yeah, I think you could just plug in here 30 for the height and be good to go. All right, so big thing with buttons is we have to add the target for what is going to occur when we press them. So we're just going to write self and the action. So you're going to throw in here selector, and this is going to look a lot like what we just did up top here, right? We do that the pound sign selector and then self dot let's just put in here pressed start, and then you're going to do this for and you get to get some options for when this is going to happen. So for touch down is a little weird. It just doesn't feel right on the iOS devices, I don't think. So we're going to go with touch up inside. It kind of, sort of happens too fast, I feel like. All right, and let's see what the complaint is here. You know what? That probably means that we forgot to put a space between the divider sign. And the complaint here is what? Oh, right. We don't have a press start function. Yeah, that one's more easily explained. Let's kind of mark this off a little bit. So pressed start, and then function pressed start, and then of course I will do everything that is involved with setting up the next screen. But we got a while to go here with our button, quite a bit more actually, so much more. Let me just copy start button. Let's set the title for this, and you'll see we got set title over here, and let's put in here caption. Okay, so basically you can select one of these images and then put a caption for it, right? So and then for control state dot normal, you could put in there different control states, but I don't think you really need to. Again, I guess if you were touching down on it or something like that. And then start button dot title label dot adjusts font size to width. Again, we talked about that before. I think it's always a good idea. That way, if your text does start to trail off, it'll just get a little bit smaller. And title label dot font is going to equal UI font, and again, you can pick out really kind of most fonts you want, but let's just throw in there Arial for now, and set the size to be 16. Might even be a little bit small. Okay, now you can set a background color for this, and actually, let's keep with our title for right now. Put in here set title color, and let's just go with UI color dot black, and then again for control state dot normal. Okay, now let's come down here to the background color. So you can put in here, background color, and you can make this equal to one of your kind of simple UI colors. So like, yellow, green, whatever you want. Cyan is an okay one. But then you can also put in here a color literal, and just type color literal, and you can start to throw in here all sorts of, let's see, color. Well, actually, I have no idea what color this is going to look like. All zeros in here would be full black, and then all white. All ones would be full white. I'll set the alpha to 1. We'll let that be a surprise. But there is a if you just type like UI color picker into Google, and you'll get a couple options where people have been nice and shown us how to whatever. Showing us what those numbers were. Sorry, I'm looking at my notes. All right, so let's just go ahead and add this in. And you know what? Since we're doing this after the intro picker, you might want to insert this in above. So insert subview, start button, and then instead of at, we're going to put in here above subview, and that's going to be our intro picker, right? Okay, that should be enough to test with. So let's give it a shot. Texting Kate again. Okay. Yeah. Well, why did I expect anything different from just 0.5, 0.5, and 0.5? So not exactly the prettiest background. Let's go ahead and just comment that out, and let's put in here start button background color is going to be UI color cyan, and you know what? I think it's probably a good idea to show you guys how to put in here your own font, because hey, Arial is not that great. Yeah. Okay, so I've got font book open, and I'm going to go find a free font from blambot.com. That's what the B stands for. Probably the best site for fonts. A lot of free ones, and this is one of those. So let's go over here and show in Finder. Okay, and we probably just need one of them. So I'm going to grab this. I'm going to put it in, just drop it into the extension over here. We want to click off Add to Targets. Actually, no, I'll just go ahead and do it for both of them. And then the important thing to note here is the name of the file. So grab that whole bit, just copy that whole thing, and then go over here to Info. Click another, just a plus sign over here, and just type in fonts provided by application, right? It's just going to make an array for you. And then, if I remember right, we put in here the exact name as it would appear in the Finder over here. But then when we put in the font name over this way, it's actually going to be what you would see over here. So quite a lot to, let's see if I can remember that. We might not even have to put the regular in, but let's we'll try it and see what happens. Okay, I was close. I didn't have to put in there the regular part, so it would just be what you see over there, and that's what that could potentially look like. We could probably go a little bit taller on the font. Let's put in here caption this. And okay, you know what, that sign is a bit crazy right now with a white background. So let's just set that to yellow. But we can do quite a bit more styling on our button. Let's go over here, start button.layer.border width. Let's try that with 2.0. Start button.layer. Now here's the thing to copy from this point on, because these all begin with the layer. Here, we'll just put them all down here. You can choose a border color, and again, you can put over here. Now, this is a little bit odd, actually. You have to put in here UI color in parentheses dot black, and then convert that to CG color. Not too hard though. Masks to bounds equals. I set that to false. Too bad there's no quick. Oh wait, let's see. All right, you can read what that is over there. I don't feel like explaining it. Shadow radius. Oh, there it is. Shadow radius equals 5.0. So we're going to add a little shadow to it. Shadow opacity. Going to make that 0.3. And you can even set the shadow offset. This is going to be CG size. And if you really feel like tinkering with these numbers, go for it. You'll slowly start to figure out what they all do. And then last one, start button.layer.shadow color. And I think, yeah, we got to do this again. Okay. And I don't think it makes any difference at all, but I tend to just do all the setup stuff before I actually add it to the subview. All right, so let's see what this looks like now. Should look a little bit prettier. In fact, it should look just like the buttons that I put into the app I submitted recently. Okay, there you go. Yeah, so that looks tons better. And if we click on this, obviously nothing's going to happen because we don't have any code inside of here, but we will, right? You know what? We spent a lot of time styling this. Well, you know what? I guess what we could do is we could probably reposition these real quick. We got the time for it. So let's move down to right around here. Let's write two functions. Func reposition for compact. Okay, and then func reposition for expanded. All right, so what we'll do is we'll test inside of our did transition to statement. We're going to see if presentation style equals, you only get two options here, either .compact or expanded. Now keep in mind that this is where we've already expanded to, okay? So if this equals compact, we're going to reposition for compact, right? There's nothing tricky about that, really. And if you want to just put an else statement in here, that works. Sometimes I prefer to just kind of read it out, you know. So I wouldn't fault you for doing that too. So reposition for expanded. And then it's going to be inside of here that we obviously reposition things. And in which case, we could probably just go with taking the frame values and just sort of repeating them back. Okay, you might want to do something different, based on each one of these. So I would, obviously I'm recommending putting 2 different functions inside of there. But in both of these, I mean, in this case, for example, we're just doing this all based on the height anyway. So we just basically need to get a new height and recenter it. So let's see if that's going to work for us. And we'll do the same thing for the intro picker. But yeah, again, we're just repeating the same code here right now, but we'll want to account for probably something. Okay, yeah, so that seems to work okay. You could pretty this up though by doing it all inside of a UI view animation. So if you put in here animate with duration, let's just make this like 0.3. So the animations inside of these opening and closing brackets are going to be whatever we want to animate, right? If it is an animatable property. And then so after this, you're just going to close off with your normal parentheses over here. So the only kind of tricky thing about this is, we're just going to paste in the code that we had before, but you have to just put in here self in any case where you've got a variable in there. So self is already in there for the view. And yeah, okay, so do the same thing over here. And now when it expands, it'll definitely look a lot nicer. That for some reason just always does that. All right, so let's try that one more time. Yeah, okay. Anyway, I could slow it down a little bit, which is, I think that's just the simulator just chugging. Because you can see, yeah, it does kind of zip up there a little bit better. Let's make sure though. We'll set it to 1 second, then we'll close down this lengthy video. Okay, so make it go up. Okay, obviously, yeah, that's working. Yoink goes down and comes back up. All right, so yeah, we'll close down and come back with something new in the next one.